everyone, and welcome once again to the semi-monthly pull. I'm Captain Logan,
And I am the real Manos.
and we have with us
I'm Eric.
today Eric. Hi, Eric.
Hi. Hi.
Eric
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
is going to review comics with us. Now, I felt like the last couple weeks were not especially great for books. I had a really hard time picking something this time.
Me too. I had one book that I knew I felt the strongest about, but I've already talked about issue 1. So I was like, oh, I don't know. Should I bring this up again? But I didn't have any choice, really.
I had one book that really stood out as like, you know what? If I'm going to talk about a comic, this is the one I should talk about.
So, Eric, I'm glad you're with us because it means we only have to talk about one book apiece.
Yay.
Manos, what's first on the docket?
I am talking about Batman Odyssey number 2. And I was a little resistant about talking about number 2 because I already talked about 1, but I'm going to continue because I am enjoying this series a lot so far. Bring everybody up to speed. Neil Adams has been doing this 12-part miniseries concerning a period in Batman's past when Dick Grayson was still Robin, although oddly enough wearing Tim Drake's costume. But issue 2 picks up pretty much exactly where issue 1 left off, with the bad guys making trouble for this inventor and his daughter, and Batman and Robin come to beat the crap out of them and save the day. And there's a point where Batman is shot and flashes back to the story that he was telling Dick Grayson in the previous issue about where he's fighting terrorists on a train.
Do they explain why he was talking about that?
Not yet. I think that I'm willing to wager that's probably going to be the reveal at the end. I'm beginning to think when he's shirtless, talking to the camera, he's talking to someone that maybe we'll see at the end, or maybe he's just talking to us. Like, what the hell? Why not? But what's going on is there's a little bit more to that story than he had told Dick, and he was almost a little embarrassed about. There was a moment where he had to save everybody on a train, and nobody really knows who Batman is at this point, because this is like one of his first missions, and no one takes him seriously. He's in broad daylight, he's in this costume, and everybody thinks he's crazy. And it was really rough going for him. It's a really what brings that action piece really well is because the tension is created by the fact that he's trying to get these people off this train and no one's listening to him, and it's a tough situation that I'm never used to seeing him in. And I enjoyed the work a lot, and the art is just fantastic. I was thinking about it today. It's like you could actually feel Neil Adams' pencils, and every shot. There's no computer stuff going on here, and it's funny when you look around a lot of modern comics right now. There's so much graphics done through the computer where it almost doesn't feel like they're even drawing anymore. So I enjoy the series a lot. We don't have the villain yet, but I feel like he's taking his time to reveal the plan. So, I'm satisfied so far.
Is it still the Riddler?
I don't think it's the Riddler. I don't think he's the big deal. I don't think he's the
really
big villain. I think it's Ra's al Ghul.
Makes sense.
He's been mentioned, and Neil Adams worked with. Actually, Neil Adams co-created him, so I imagine the Ra's al Ghul is going to be the big villain. But who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't really want to do something more with Ra's al Ghul, considering that so much has been done with him in the last several years.
Maybe Ra's al Ghul is who he's talking to in the cave, because we know Ra's has been there.
That's true.
Ooh.
And anyway, I give it 5 Ram chips. I'm enjoying it.
Eric,
am I up?
you're up.
Yes.
All right. My pick is Secret Six number 24, which is a really odd issue because I have no idea what's going on, but the issue as a standalone issue is great. Because the thing is, they basically took the entire cast and they put them in a Western. This is basically like, if you picked this issue up, you would have no way of knowing this wasn't a Western. And the only explanation we get for this is at the end, they all die, and they just say, like, uh, the Catman in the West says something about, like, you know, we might be heroes, and the villain's just like, not in this lifetime. So I'm thinking that there's going to be some sort of tie into something, but it's just a really, really interesting issue. It could easily classify as like an Elseworld story, where it's just all of the Secret Six cast in the West, and it's a nice little standalone Western story. Deadshot is just like a gunslinger, and there's this really cool moment where they're like, when the bad guy comes, and they're like, well, they've hired, one of the best gunslingers around, and it's Slade Wilson, but his eye isn't like, normally Slade Wilson just has like an eye patch, but here it's just like there's a giant burn in his face where his eye should be. And it's just really cool to see all these characters in a Western setting, and they're really not that different from how they are usually. So I really dug it. I thought it was a fun little thing.
Cool.
I don't know what it has to do with the ongoing story of Secret Six, but as a standalone, it's great.
Let me ask you: do they have the members of the team that have superpowers? Do they have superpowers, or are they just shooting guns?
It's not really specifically referenced. Because Deadshot obviously just has guns. Vandal Savage, I don't know if she actually has superpowers. What's his name? The guy who can move his body. Ragdoll.
Yeah.
I think it's Ragdoll. Yeah. He's in this, and he's all stitched up, like, because if you don't know what Ragdoll looks like, he's all stitched up and he's bald, like he has like 3 strands of hair, like Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
And there's no real indication that he can move like he does in the normal comics, but there's nothing that's really suggests that he can't, because in this he's a puppeteer for children, and his puppets are Harley Quinn, the Joker. And there's some really funny stuff going on with that. There's not really anything that overtly is superpowers, but at the same time, most of the characters in Secret Six that have superpowers are just like super strength, super agility, something that wouldn't necessarily be noticeable. And it's also interesting to see Bane in the West.
Wow, I almost want to read it just for that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I would recommend picking up this this one issue, like, because it's just a standalone.
Is this Gail Simone?
It is Gail Simone.
Okay.
Well, that's another good reason.
Yeah, I just want to pick it up for the Joker Harley Quinn puppet show.
It's quite entertaining, and it keeps showing up throughout the issue. So yeah, and it's one of the coolest covers ever, because it's Deadshot, but he's got a hat on and it's tilted low, and he has like a serape, and like his mouth is covered, so you can just barely see like his glowing red eye, and he's got like crisscross guns. It's just a really cool cover. So that's my pick.
Well, Eric, do you don't rate things, do you?
No, I just say I like it. If I had to like have a star rating, I'd 5 out of 5.
Okay.
You can give it ram chips if you want.
5 not ram chips out of 5.
5. Okay, so like I said, I had a really mediocre week for comics. I mean, I'm reading all the stuff I usually do, but like nothing just grabbed me this time to do a pick of. And so like I'm not even picking a book that's usually on my pull, because this last week I only had 2 books to pick up, and it was what was I going to say? It was like Brightest Day and Shadowland. And so I went ahead and picked something else up. And I thought I was going to hate this because I haven't been reading this book for a long time because it hasn't been good. And I'm actually using this for my pick this time. I am doing Spawn number 198.
Wow.
Whoa.
And was extremely surprised by this. I picked this up because I flipped through it and the art is back. It's 90s Spawn arc again. No, Todd is writing, which is another reason that I wanted to read it. But see, he's been on the book since 184, and I didn't like the beginning of Endgame, so I read the first 2 or 3 issues and then just stopped. But part of that was an art problem again, and we've got this guy Randolph. Is his last name? What is his? It's not anybody I know. Kerry Randolph, but he's drawing like like the art was back in the first 40, 50 issues, and it's colorful. It's got that really pencily kind of thing going on, and one of the things that made me want to go ahead and pick this up and see what they were doing with it is just that they're. And I know this sounds funny, but Spawn had really specific ways of doing dialogue balloons, where they do like these. When somebody would get really excited about something, they'd have like really big letters in different colors.
Spawn had great lettering back in the day,
and it looks like that again. And so I got all excited about it. So here's what's bizarre. Now, of course, I don't know entirely what's going on because this is in the middle of a story arc and they're building up for their big, 200th issue. And by the way, I've been told that this series is like really lagging behind, that Todd McFarlane's like 9-10 issues behind. So I don't know how often this is even coming out right now. But anyway, we have a different Spawn now. It's not what was I going to say? It's not Al Simmons, yeah. And
he blew his brains out, right?
I think that's what happened, but again, I didn't read that issue because I jumped off before that happened. But anyway, so it's this new guy named Jim, and what's interesting about this is that he is entirely opposite from Al Simmons. We get to see a Spawn that does not hide himself away in a sewer, or not a sewer,
he's
but
proactive.
He's proactive, yeah.
He's entertaining.
That's insane.
I know. He's not. But anyway, I didn't mean a sewer. I meant an alleyway. He's not like off in an alleyway somewhere, moping about his wife. He has a face. And
that's not the Spawn I know and love.
It's not. It's not me either. But that's partially why I'm liking it. I don't know. Okay, here's the thing. Al Simmons' Spawn was awesome for about 50 issues, and then I just got sick of him constantly whining all the time. This is a Spawn that is not only proactive, but he's attempting to live a regular life while doing something with his Spawn powers. So he's going around healing people with his Spawn powers. It's a superhero book. And I was really surprised by that, yeah. So what he's having to deal with, now he's got amnesia, just like Al Simmons did, because I think every Spawn ends up not knowing certain things about their past. And so he's got heaven and hell trying to make sure that he doesn't learn about his past. So
we should ask that judge from the Neil Gaiman case.
Right, who knows apparently everything about Spawn. That must be why he got to judge that case. Anyway, this guy, is, like I said, he's going around healing people, and what he's having to deal with is trying to figure out things about his past, so we don't know much about him. And I don't know if they've told us, since I haven't been reading the issues before this, I don't know if they've told us anything about like why he got picked to be Spawn or anything, because he seems like kind of a nice stand-up guy. Like, it's sort of weird. I'm like, why is this guy Spawn? And he's got this reporter following him around, and so he's having to deal with being a celebrity and having Spawn powers.
Wow.
And at the end, he's fighting this big guy, and I don't know what this guy's name is, but this giant green guy in this weird green costume, who was apparently like genetically experimented on or something, like in a hospital or something, and in like some secret hospital thing. And he mistakenly thinks that Spawn also came out of that same hospital. And I don't know, it's really interesting. It's not the same Spawn that I remember, but at the same time, the art looks like it. So I may start reading this.
Wow. When did this new character take over?
I'm assuming
it was
in the
Endgame,
middle of
because I jumped on with Endgame, and the first issue, Al blows his head off, and then there's a dude in a hospital. I'm assuming that's who became this new Spawn.
Yeah, he's this guy with glasses. He's this kind of sort of nerdy looking guy, really.
Wow.
And anyway, yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by it. And it looks like next issue we're gonna get Clown as Violator again, and we're gonna get some Damage Witch, and I think I'm gonna read it. So I'm gonna give this a 3.5, because I'm not entirely sure about it, and it's in the middle of an arc, so I don't know much about what's going on.
That sounds amazing. Entertaining Spawn just sounds.
I'm just like, wow, he's
Spawn, I'm trying to wrap my head around.
Yeah, a Spawn that does things.
Well, guys, we are all out of time, so it's time to bid our viewers farewell.
Bye.
Goodbye.
And we'll see you next time on the Semi-Monthly Poll.